So what do you, for the people out there, I mean, that's kind of like hallelujah, right? God is the greatest, God is greater, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think about Dan now, who's, you know, coming around and he's being somebody who's being a strong voice for what's happening in Israel?
I just think it's the perfect example that the the lifestyle of dunya, it never is going to satisfy you. So you could have all the women, you could have all the fame. He's been pictured with every celebrity, every party, big alcohol brands, gambling, flashy money. He's like a perfect representation of money, fame, American lifestyle.
Modern day Hugh Hefner.
Exactly. And then that doesn't satisfy the soul. And so even then, the simplicity of Islam is still reaching out to him, because there's no amount that's going to ever satisfy that need. You're always going to want more women, more money, more this, if you worship that. And so now he's looking for something to serve his higher purpose. And I doesn't care. It's like, if I lose everything, if they want to disassociate with my business because I'm not a Zionist and whatever, what do I need more money for? What do I need more fame for? I'm just going to say the truth unequivocally.
Allahu Akbar.
Just on that point, you spoke about the dunya not being enough. Do you think that's part of your journey to Islam as well?
100%. Yeah, I see it similar. And again, like the way you were talking about idol worship, I think there's a lot of attacks on India recently. I don't know if you've seen people are making fun of Indians. I think it's good to specify that the Indian Muslims are not like that. Like, they're not going to be in the streets, going to the bathroom. They're not going to be smelling improper, because you're supposed to bathe 5 times a day. You're supposed to wash up before you pray. You're supposed to show manners, and you're not supposed to be lower your gaze and wear all this stuff. Hinduism, when they worship 33 million gods, and when there's idol worship to Trump in India, you can see they'll pray to anything. That's the quickest way to become disgusting. So I wouldn't blame people criticizing India on the Indian people itself as an ethnicity. I would just say this is a problem of paganism, idol worship.
So just to, on your point about, it was similar to Dan, right? About things not being enough. Why do you think some people don't take the trajectory you do, and they carry on for decades just trying to pursue that hedonistic lifestyle?
Because you can distract yourself if you want to, but if you're a truth seeker, you're gonna look for something more. And I think Dan has always been a truth seeker, looking for what's next. But if you want to, you can numb your brain with the food and with the media, with distraction, with celebrity worship. You could turn it off as much as you want to, but eventually, you're going to become angry. And some people don't know why they're having that reaction, but it's because they're searching for something higher.
That reminds me of your documentary about your lifestyle. It's a similar thing. You tried everything. I don't know if have you seen his documentary about his life?
Yeah, kind of. I saw it.
You must have seen it. It's very, very famous, right?
How long is it? Long time. It's like that though. He plays a big factor, like that's yeah. Same thing. You don't even live it. We've lived it. We've seen it. That's why when I came to Islam, I fully divorced the dunya. Why? Because when someone tells you this is happiness, you're like, yeah, okay, and you chase it. Okay, I would chase it. I would live it. I saw it. I knew people who were rich, who had the most beautiful woman in front of me, crying, depressed. I looked at them, I'm thinking, I don't understand. I want to be like you, and you're here depressed, on the verge of killing yourself. It didn't make sense to me. So then you start waking up, and then I had obviously caused people to commit suicide. My cousin hanged themselves. My cousin, we had a big suicide rate in my community. Why? Because all they've been taught is money, 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 money. What you own, what you wear, what you drive. And my cousin, his friend killed himself. My neighbor killed himself. And then when you just look into it and think to yourself, subhanAllah, is this the life? And then you go around people. I know how I was. I was around certain people, and I wanted to be a certain way. And one thing I don't like is to be fake, to be something you're not. And for me to put that persona on you feel sick. Like, why am I trying to pretend something I'm not? And you look around you, everybody is like that. Everyone is pretending, faking, laughing, smiling. You're in a club, dancing. When the music goes off, everyone's outside. Most of them crying on the floor, depressed, drunk. And once you realize and live that, when you see that for yourself, I think this is why, I call, obviously we're reverts. I call Muslims who go off the path diverts. Yeah? There's reverts and there's diverts. They divert off path and they come back. But why? Because they want to live. And we're like, listen, brother, we've been there. We've been there, trust me. So to me, when I came to Islam, I went, like you said, you just test it with your 1 feet. I'd done a dive. Why? Because I was so sick of the money and the fame. And this. I'll be honest with you, even now, when I'm around people who talk about money too much, I genuinely have this ick in my, when it's all about, it's fine, and as Muslims, it's good. But I'm talking about those who talk about materialism too much. I get sick, bro. I've been so immersed in it that you're just sick. And once you leave that, I can remember when I came and joined like IERA, wallahi, I was so content and happy. Do you know what I wanted from life? I don't care where I work, 9 to 5, I do not care. As long as I can do dawah on the weekends, I'm happy, bro. It's just, and my dad will come and call me like, he's like, oh, you're going to become a caveman now, you know, you're going to go and later on, obviously, I understood the power of giving dawah in different ways. Because my dad's a businessman, do you get it? So now if I have any savings here and there, I do try to invest. So my dad's like, hold on a second, this guy, I thought he's just going to go into the mosque and sleep in the mosque. But now I do my dawah to him in different ways. So yeah, like, alhamdulillah, wallahi, I'll be honest with you, once you find that contentment, like Ibn Taymiyyah said, if you don't find the Jannah here in your heart, you will not get into the Jannah over there. Once you have peace in this dunya, wallahi, nothing, they can take everything from you, bro. Like genuinely, when you have Allah, when you, and I hope I reach that, it's far away. I hope I'll come to a point where if everything was taken away from me and Allah is enough, bro, there's nothing in this life that could ever replace it. And that's why you see reverts who are so holding tight to that. You look at reverts, you know, why this guy so, like, you know, when they come to obsess, okay, we saw the dark, we was in a dark room. There was a little light given to us and we thought, man, what is that? And then the light grew. We're like, alhamdulillah, brother, we've been in a dark room for, you get it? But there are people making that dark room look good. And they want to go, we're like, brother, we've been in that room, you know? And coming from darkness, from the heart. You know, that's what Allah says. It's not the eyes that are blind, it's the heart. You know, and in Surah Abbas, it's very interesting. So the Prophet ﷺ is giving dawah to the Quraysh. Yeah? And then a blind man comes. Isn't it interesting? The Quraysh heart's blind, but the blind man who's coming to seek guidance, his eyes are blind. Look, he's giving dawah to the Quraysh whose heart's blind. They can see, and they don't accept it. And Allah says to the Prophet ﷺ, no matter how much you try, they're not, and there's not blameworthy on you. You're tiring yourself. But the blind man who is blind physically, his heart is open. He said, if you just attended to him. And that teaches me the dawah which I implement now. If I speak to someone, bro, and he's not listening to my, like, I'm giving him simple logic, like, bro, don't waste my time. I go, thank you, bye-bye. Why am I going to waste my time with you, bro, for hours? There's so many people who are, there was one sister, she goes, I came to Islam because of Abdul Rahim Green talking about istinja. You know what istinja is? Yeah, she goes, I found it profound. Like small things like that. You know what that shows? There are people out there that are looking for guidance, bro. Something so small, they would use it. And even me, if you remember when I came to Islam, one of the reasons was the scientific miracles. Yeah. And when the scientific miracles kind of, you know, we changed our method I was taken back. I was like, what? But you know what's interesting? Allah sometimes brings people to Islam for the wrong reasons and they stay for the right reasons.
Bro, Ali, you know what you just said? Why that's so profound is when IERA came up with that narrative that, okay, we're not using scientific miracles, you're the first da'i outside of the organization to publicly say, this I agree with, even though you came to Islam through it. Do you remember in Queen Mary you had the lecture and you publicly said, I agree with this, but we were getting criticized, remember? But just on your point about this life not being enough, Zishan, I was thinking about, you know, you've interviewed some of these drill rappers. That guy with the mask, what's his name?
I didn't interview him. I interviewed one guy called Friends of the Bastard.
That is him.
So do you feel that what he's saying, what Sneako's saying about this life not being enough, like even though these guys have everything, yeah? Was it Friends of Harami? Yeah, these guys. Do you think they're along the same trajectory that they like Sneako, like Eddie, they've got everything but they know it's not enough?
It's like there's a saying of Jim Carrey, isn't it? Jim Carrey said that I wish that people had all the wealth and all of the material things to realize that this is not where happiness lies. And sometimes it's because we don't have that thing and we're constantly plastered with that, it's made to seem like the objective. But like one of the end episodes of Only Fools and Horses, which is the top British sitcom, and the whole seasons are to do with them trying to become rich. And then right at the end he becomes rich and they're in that apartment. And at that apartment, the camera zooms in and he goes, yeah, I finally reached it, but what now? Yeah. And that's why you've got the likes of Tyson Fury, Andre Agassi, and there's a few others as well. I think Israel Adesanya as well. All of them became depressed when they won the title. Because they made that the objective and the goal, then when they reached it, it was like, okay, now what? I've reached my goal.
Because the goal is not eternal. On that note, guys, we're going to go horse riding. So I was informed to